The Root of All Evil, Frederick Devereux, excerpt from a play written by Tasmin Jahan. Scene 1, 1970s. Vazaria Aston, a small town in England. It is a dark and cold night. Two ruffians, Jim and Razor, appear in a quiet country lane. A cadaver is sprawled in front of them. Jim is kneeling down, holding the cadaver's pale hand, while Razor is standing beside him. They both seem anxious.
Can you find her pulse?
I'm trying.
This is all your fault, you know.
Just shut up, Razor.
All we were supposed to do was scare her.
I know what we were supposed to do.
Mr. Devil's going to be furious. Do you think he'll pay us after this?
I don't know.
Have you found it then?
Will you stop?
Let me try.
No, I can manage.
She looks really dead, you know. The shovel must have really hurt.
That was our idea, remember?
Oh, beneath that pale look, she seems rather peaceful, don't you think?
We need to drag her body to Monument Valley and hide it.
What about Mr. Devereux? What are we going to tell him?
We have to tell him the truth.
Well, we're not used to telling the truth.
We killed her by accident. We didn't do it on purpose. I'm sure he'll understand.
Mr. Devereux's going to torture us. I never wanted to die young. Do you think he'll give us a last wish?
Razor, please put a cork in it. Someone might hear you.
Well, my last wish would be to see Mexico. That would be my dream come true. Me, the chicas, a nice sombrero, and a big bottle of whiskey. After that, I don't mind dying.
Why don't you ask Mr. Devereux if he'll pay for a one-way ticket to Mexico?
Do that. You know what? I don't like aeroplanes.
You could swim to Mexico. But I think that would be a little risky for you.
My dad always said I was a strong swimmer.
Really?
Once the water gets warm, I'll give it a go.
Are we done with the fantasy now?
One day I'll make it to Mexico. You'll see.
Will you stop up and on about your life and concentrate on what we're doing here? Now, judging by the standard of the job, I think Mr. Devereux won't be too severe.
Jim, I'm scared. Maybe we should lie.
Oh, stop being so stupid. All we have to do is be upfront about it. Then we'll see what happens. If we're forced to leave town, we'll go to my uncle's farm.
Are you sure you didn't find her pulse?
Razor, she's dead. We killed her, good and proper. We better take her to Monument Valley. Come on now.
You know, I did have a funny feeling about this job today. This morning when I was trying to eat something, I couldn't put it in my mouth. It was as if somebody had tied a knot in my throat.
You grab her legs and I'll grab her arms.
Do you think she's got any money on her?
No, already checked.
Apple pie?
What?
I really fancy some apple pie. I like it when the warm, juicy apple bits melt in my mouth, you know. What about cigarettes?
She didn't look like a smoking type. Things ain't staying in her teeth.
Shame. I could really do with a pie. Yes, shame. I could really do with a. What do you think her dying wish would have been, you know, if she knew she was going to die?
Since when we care?
Oh, she's so young and pretty. I bet she looks wonderful in pink. I bet she has a handsome boyfriend who really loves her and misses her when she's not there. If her boyfriend knew about this, I bet he would rush to be at his side, hold her very close to him, look into her lovely eyes, and kiss her so gently until her soul is no longer with his.
Have you finished, Dr. Love? Now can we get on with it?
Well, as her boyfriend isn't here, do you think I should kiss her?
Not only are you stupid and strange, you're also really disgusting. Why do you want to kiss a dead girl?
I haven't kissed a woman in 3 years, and that was my mother.
Razor, it's almost midnight. We need to hurry.
Just a peck on the cheek, then.
No! I'm not going to let you be disgusting in front of me.
Well,
It's worm food now. You're not going to kiss worm food in front of me.
I wish some girl would fancy me.
On a count of 3, I'm going to pick her up. Ready?
I have such high hopes.
1,
I could take her to Mexico.
2,
We would swim together to Mexico.
3.
Oh my God, she's quite happy for a thin girl.
Just shut up, will ya?
Sometimes I wish I had a family like yours. You got a wife, 4 kids, and 3 sheep. I've only got a small roof over my head with my and a ferocious donkey called Dracula.
Just hold her properly, will ya?
I am holding her properly.
Now, keep up with me.
One day I'll make it to Mexico. You'll see.
They exit carrying the cadaver. Scene 2, the next day at the Devereux mansion. Frederick Devereux and his youngest son, Benjamin, are in the study. Frederick Devereux is 60 years of age, the head of the family, a man of great opulence and superiority. Benjamin is 24 years old and is sitting close to him. He is on edge. Frederick appears to be in a good mood.
You seem rather happy today, Father.
I have cause to celebrate, my son. Would you like to join me for a drink?
Sure, why not? Whatever you're having.
Oh, this certainly marks the end of a contemptuous period.
Contemptuous? Father, what are you talking about?
Well, there was this awful constraint, this ugly head of poverty-stricken gunk within my realm that I had to crush. I thought I would take the matter slowly and then go in heavy-handed. But the buffoons accidentally went overboard and made that jubilant vision come true.
What buffoons?
Benjamin, my dear son, I have been so worried about you. For the past few months, things have been rather tense between us. We have been rude and unbelievably distant from one another. Your Auntie Sophie talked of living within a war zone. Now, for the first time, we can say goodbye to all that heartache and start afresh.
Father, are you talking about Michelle and I?
Yes. The biggest and most distressing mismatch in the whole of Vazaria Aston.
But I thought I made my feelings absolutely clear about this. No matter what, I want to be with her. I love her.
As a father, it is my responsibility to keep the family name always on the highest pillar possible. Nobody had the audacity to tarnish even a little bit of our reputation. Until you made your unfortunate announcement.
There's nothing wrong with Michelle.
No, there never was. It is just that her background is appalling. And a family name is muck. And a standard of living bears similarity to our sick cows on the farm.
Father, I demand you stop this kind of talk.
I'm only saying it how it really is. We have built an enviable empire through the years with blood and sweat. We deserve to have what we have. Nobody helped us. We had to start from scratch. Just take a look. Everything around you is all down to hard work. Who wouldn't want to be in our shoes? You can only define real loss if you have something like this to lose. I'm always looking at a much bigger picture than you. My gaze sees more facets than anybody else in this mansion. You're simply thinking about yourself, whereas I am thinking of an entire generation.
If I were to think about others, then where would I come into it? Who would consider my feelings? I thought you were a firm believer in every man for himself. Therefore, I still stand by my decision. I want to marry Michelle. I want to lead a happy and honest life with Michelle, and Michelle only.
Happiness and honesty? With a pauper?
Once again, Father, thank you for reminding me of her status within society. Please do remember, honesty is the best policy.
No, it is not. Honesty never was the best policy. That proverb was only intended for those who had no money, no dignity, and no suitable standard of living. Don't give me such shoddy talk. Honesty breeds objectionable implications. If we were always honest with each other, we would have more enemies. There would be no point in achieving our goals. There would be no more suicides. And above all, every person's weaknesses would be exposed.
I must say, I do not wish to make you my enemy, but if I am penalized for being honest, then so be it. I have no other choice.
You are asking for the impossible. You are preparing yourself to die like a hungry and foolish man. Do you know what it is to be hungry? You will only realize your mistake, as many people do, when it is too late.
But I sincerely hope that you are wrong.
Benjamin, I am not wrong. You are rich. She is poor. She will use you to break you down, and in the end, she will force you back to my doorstep as a shattered and traumatized man.
You tell such a winding tale, Father.
Poverty means restriction. Poverty is awfully embarrassing. Without money, you are nothing. Money gives you respect. Money gives you authority. It eases your mind and gives you freedom. With money, you have choices. It lets you do whatever you want. Your idea of just being well educated and reeling off beliefs that you can make great things happen, this is only a youngster's myth. Knowledge merely gets you through a conversation. You are solely made the center of attention for a few minutes. Where is the wealth and power in that?
The buffoons that you mentioned earlier, what do they do exactly?
As I do not wish to ruin my newfound happiness, I shall leave it up to your Aunt Sophie to break the deeply exciting news.
Being your son is one of the hardest and most demanding roles I have ever had to fulfill. You have no idea how tired and lonely I feel sometimes.
It's called adulthood. You must learn to absorb how the system works within this mansion. Yes, you are my son, and yes, you are close to my heart, but you are also a man who has a huge amount to achieve. Until you do so, I have enormous difficulty in showing you pertinent respect and admiration.
As usual, Father, you're not being fair.
My responsibility as a father deems it necessary. Something you will only realize when you have a son of your own.
Suddenly the door opens with a bang. Thomas Devereux, the eldest son, enters. He is a little drunk and untidily dressed. He is 33 years old. Frederick is very annoyed. Benjamin is pleased to see him.
Sorry to barge in like this, but could one of you lend me some money? I did have some before, but now I'm absolutely penniless.
Thomas Devereux, do you have any control over your manners?
Look, Father, I need a drink. I need to feel good about myself, so can I have some money? Or perhaps my inheritance?
What inheritance?
I just need enough so that I can buy 2 rounds down at the Lion's Head. You should come with me, Father. We have such a good laugh.
Please leave before I call security.
Tom, here you go.
Benjamin hands him some money. Thomas grabs the notes and stuffs them in his pocket.
I know you don't love me, Father, but don't worry. I love you for who you are. I don't care about your faults or revulsion towards me. You know we should all love each other and accept each and every one just the way they are. Amen.
I don't like talking to you when you are intoxicated. Please leave.
I'm not drunk. Look at these steady hands.
You better go now.
Why can't you accept me for who I am? It's not as if I'm sleeping with a maid or stealing money from the family safe. Father, I haven't done anything wrong.
The only major imperfection that did occur was 34 years ago when your mother decided to give birth to her impudent and vulgar son, and then leave me with the depressing burden of raising him.
Wow. I am going to see my mother, and I will ask her if she agrees with you or whether with disgust she's turning in her grave. At least she'll listen to me, and she definitely doesn't think I have a drinking problem.
If you know what is best for you, you will get out of this room right now.
You don't have to take that tone with me. I was leaving anyway. Oh, before I forget, I don't know if either of you have heard Tunnel's Bakery caught fire yesterday.
Really? How did that happen?
Well,
what?
I was trying to woo Josie McIntyre. She had put 40 Chelsea buns in the oven, and then she had a few minutes to spare, so I thought, this is my chance. I was doing so well until the burning odor came wafting into the atmosphere, and it completely ruined the moment. As the blaze worsened, I thought I might as well disappear. So I did.
What about Josie?
Don't know. I think she got away. I'll check if she's all right. Now I must have that drink.
You treacherous fool! What on earth were you thinking? Do you have the slightest idea about the implications of your incessant stupidity?
It was an accident.
I suppose now I will be expecting Mr. Tunnel. Surely the lock on your door has been fixed, Thomas. For goodness sake, why don't you use it? That way you will remain out of trouble and not cause so much chaos.
Is it the money that is bothering you? Once you pay for the damage, I will find a job and I will work day and night to reimburse you.
Your life is within these four walls. Nobody will give you a job. Above all, nobody will even deem you fit enough to make sense of any responsibility. You are simply an outcast within the Devereux clan. Your interminable excuse is depression and loneliness, which completely override hope of any accomplishment.
Wow. I must have been switched at birth, because clearly if you were my father, you would speak with a much kinder tone.
This is all down to your juvenile behavior, Thomas. If you were the least bit normal, I would appreciate you. You certainly would not witness this sort of discourse.
Oh, I'm bored now. I must dash.
Before you disappear, young man, there is something in particular that I would like to bring to your attention.
Is it something exciting? Should I sit down?
If only it was exciting. I have been made aware by a reliable source that you were seen departing from the residence of Madame Lubell. Is that correct?
Maybe.
Thomas Devereux, please do not try my patience. Were you or were you not at that address sometime last week?
Who gave you that information? Was it your inferior and brainless assistant, Penchard?
So you admit it.
I am admitting to whatever you want me to admit to, Father.
You must refrain from visiting such undignified and low-class quarters.
It's just for mere company. You are mistaken if you believe that I go in there for anything else.
You have two sisters in this mansion. You have Benjamin. You have Auntie Sophie, your stepmother, Veronica, and Penchard. What more do you want?
Yes, I know. But I do need friends. Nobody wants to know me for who I am. So I end up going to people who will understand me for being me. I'm so sick and tired of being persistently judged, especially when you tell me that I'm an outcast. It's hurtful. But ho-hum, life goes on.
Unfortunately.
Please tell Penchard to stop spying on me. Next time I won't hesitate to disfigure him.
Get out!
With great pleasure, Father. Have a good day. And when you see Mr. Tunnel, give him my regards and tell him he has terrific buns in his shop. Oh, and another thing. Apparently, there's a dead body in Monument Valley. The lads down at the Lion's Head were talking about it.
A dead body in Monument Valley?
I said, get out! Right now!
Have I hit a nerve, Father? Oops. See you later, Ben. Thanks for the cash.
Frederick waits for Thomas to leave. Benjamin awkwardly smiles as Thomas cheerfully exits. End of excerpt. The Root of All Evil, Frederick Devereux. Excerpt from a play written by Tasmin Jahan. Scene 3, 1970s, at the Devereux mansion. Sophie and Veronica have returned from their visit to Fethembridge. Sophie, in her late 50s, is Frederick's sister. She lives in the family mansion. Veronica, in her 40s, is Frederick's second wife. With agitation, Sophie enters Frederick's study. Frederick is seated at his desk going through some paperwork. Veronica follows. On hearing their arrival, Frederick calmly looks up.
Why? Why are you always intent on making me feel so imperceptive in front of other people? Why can't you for once follow my lead, Veronica?
I do not wish to support any of your conceited ideas. I don't want people to think the same of me as they do of you.
Conceited? Is that your word for superior? All you had to do is agree with me. Example. If somebody were to ask, does this color suit me? And they obviously want you to compliment them. You reply with, oh yes, of course it does. You look lovely. That's it. Do you get that example, Veronica? Or do you want me to go over it again?
Please note I was actually referring to the word conceited, not superior. Your example cradles a lie.
I see that you both had a wonderful time at the wedding ceremony.
And Fred, she started talking about Thomas and his distasteful habits. It was painful to listen to.
Veronica, how could you?
There's nothing wrong in stating the truth.
What people do not know won't hurt them.
You know that truth is always a double-edged sword, Veronica.
I forgot that secrets and lies are the very pinnacle of society.
And we never talk about how much there is or was in the family safe, especially after a burglary.
Oh, my goodness me, Veronica. What compelled you to do that?
Furthermore, when asked about young Ben's issues with this wretched girl, she almost told all. If I hadn't interrupted that frightful conversation, who knows what would have happened?
I didn't have much to reveal. They seem to know most of it already.
All the more reason to cover it up and not join in.
And to top it all off, Luke Fitzroy was there, expressing his overwhelming gesture of goodwill towards your Veronica. It was as if she was all over him like a passionate rash.
Luke
So
Fitzroy.
painful.
Luke Fitzroy is a troublemaker. You should be careful, Veronica.
But she likes troublemakers, don't you?
I don't like troublemakers. Luke was telling me about his family and how he had just lost his youngest son to epilepsy.
Ah, that is tragic. If it's true.
You know, the way you were pouting your lips and looking at him. I thought you were pursuing one of your personal hobbies.
Veronica, did you really need to do that?
I do not recall pouting my lips.
Do you know what else she did today? One of the nasty Bradys was there, and she had the gall to say hello to him.
Which one?
Norman Brady. Veronica immersed herself into the conversation to such an extent, I thought we would never leave.
It's very hard to ignore someone who is looking straight at you. So I greeted him politely.
Greeted our enemy politely. What utter nonsense.
Well, ever since I testified against his brother, he's been on my case. You shouldn't have spoken to him, Veronica.
I was just being civil.
Is that supposed to be funny?
Veronica, dear, one of the maids was looking for you earlier today regarding some of your old dresses. She hadn't realized you were in Fethembridge.
That must have been Misha. I promised to show them to her before getting rid of them.
You'd better run along now before she retires to her quarters.
I will go in a moment.
Veronica, dear, that was a subtle hint to put an end to this unstinting feud between you and Sophie.
Oops, you missed that signal too.
Must you butt in all the time?
Veronica, Misha's waiting. Please leave us.
Yes, please leave us so that Fred and I can have an adult conversation.
I can only see one adult in this room, and it isn't you, Sophie.
Veronica angrily exits.
With age, your wife is elderly. You've got to do something about it.
So, how'd you find the demeaning wedding ceremony?
You didn't tell me our niece Maria gave birth to twins.
I've never really been one to show any joy on hearing good news, especially to new arrivals.
Had you shown up, you probably would have enjoyed yourself, and Veronica wouldn't have caused so much grief.
I do not like attending such low-standard events.
But he's your nephew, Frederick. If you recall, you promised Stuart's father that you would take care of them just before he passed away.
I did nothing of the sort. Our brother's low standards made it impossible for me to even consider a mutual agreement over the Devereux estate.
You could have shown a more compassionate side for a change.
I did. I sent you and Veronica to the shamefully awkward event.
How kind of you. The inglorious Roy Minster was there too. Did you have anything to do with that?
Excellent. I'm so pleased he approached you again.
He's trying to impress me with his timorous charm and preposterous talk. Looked into my eyes and tempted to draw closer until I could smell his tainted cologne. Thought I was going to vomit. If I hadn't moved to one side, he probably would have rubbed himself against my body.
Well, he does have a lot of money, Sophie. He may be worth a shot.
Frederick, he has halitosis. He was seconds away from melting my face. You'll have to scrub my eyebrows and forehead and meticulously cleanse my face and shampoo my hair to get rid of that disgusting smell.
But he has the right combination for mental stability, freedom of thought. He has real money.
I have no intention of looking for a beau, especially at my age. I've already spent most of my life in solitude. Why do you expect me to rock the boat? 57 years of age.
I would seriously think about it. I told him to go. I thought that if he persevered, he would eventually make a good impression on you.
1 minute it's Veronica, and the next minute it's you. Why are you both so eager to get rid of me?
I just want you to have a successful partner in life. We've all moved on, except you.
I have moved on. Time has made me move on. I've aged gracefully. I have you and my nephews and nieces. What more could I want?
As you wish. I will leave it there for now.
Besides, I need to remain in this mansion to keep an eye on Veronica. Who knows what else she might get up to.
I wish you two could get along.
All this anguish would not have happened if you hadn't married her.
Pointless issue, Sophie. 25 years have passed now.
I must say, your first wife was a far better choice than Veronica. Lonnie was a woman of substance, who most certainly knew her place within society. She had such grace and presence. Why do the good and decent die so quickly? and the wasted and disrespectful linger on to poison our minds and humiliate us.
We can't live in the past, Sophie.
I like living in the past. It warms my heart.
You need to talk to Benjamin.
Again?
Well, this time it may be easier, because we've had a significant turn of events.
Such as?
Michelle Buckley is no longer with us.
What do you mean, no longer with us?
Well, due to an unexpected error, Michelle has left this wicked world. Fate has played an ace.
Does Benjamin know?
No. I just pretended that she's alive and well. Perhaps we should continue to do that till I find him a suitable partner myself.
Or until he finds out the truth.
I will keep him busy.
Surely the mother of the son deal with him?
You have a wealth of wisdom. Ben likes talking to you.
All of a sudden, Veronica hurriedly re-enters holding a shawl.
Sorry to interrupt, but Max just handed me your shawl after locking up the Flying Lady.
If you could put it back where it was. And next time, please ask before you touch my belongings. That would be most appreciated.
I have no intention of touching any of your belongings, Sophie. I was only doing it for Max.
Veronica, dear, I forgot to say happy birthday.
Oh, you remembered.
Please leave us in peace to continue our important conversation.
We'll celebrate later. Now off you go.
I look forward to it. I guess I'll give the shawl back to Max.
Veronica exits.
You could have wished her a happy birthday.
Why change a lifetime's habit?
Happy birthday, Veronica. How hard is that?
The birthday's not that important. After all, we're all going to die someday.
You are very bitter today.
Frederick, history has made me bitter. Surely you should know that.
Why are you so hell-bent on punishing me for it?
Sophie abruptly exits as Frederick looks on with frustration. Well done, well done, well done. Love.
What happens next?
The Root of All Evil, Frederick Devereux. Excerpt from a play written by Tasmin Jahan. Scene 16, 1970s. At the Devereux mansion, Benjamin has been summoned by his auntie Sophie. He enters her study to find that Aunt Sophie is wiping away a tear.
I see that we're preparing for the Devereux extravaganza already. I guess the same organizer will be saying the same old thing. The Devereux extravaganza, also known as the Dex, is the most exceptional and sensational event of the calendar year. The Dex believes in true business opportunities. Oh, it's father's favorite event of the year. Business, wealth, mergers, and of course the tremendously boring speeches and big-headed beings stroking each other's egos. I can't wait. Sophie, you seem quiet.
The whole world moves on, but I can't.
What's brought this on all of a sudden?
Your father's been meaning to promote the decks in the local paper. Unfortunately, he didn't have time to speak to this journalist called Samuel Calcott today, so I had to fill in. He interviewed me earlier this morning with a different set of questions. What a stupid and ignorant journalist he was. He offended me.
What did he say exactly?
He repeatedly asked about Christopher Marsh.
Oh?
He had no right to do that.
Hey, no wonder you're feeling this way.
The past never lets me rest.
The villagers have spoken about a Christopher Marsh, and I must admit I have stood there and listened attentively.
What did they say?
You don't want to know.
Yes, I do. What have they been saying?
Auntie Sophie, this really isn't a good topic to go into right now.
I said I want to hear it, and that means I want to hear every word of it.
Most of the villagers have said you're responsible for his death. You had an intimate relationship with him and then chose to abandon him.
That's not true.
But Aunt Sophie, nobody seems to know the truth.
Except for me.
You should put them right.
What's the point? Even if the truth were known, people would still disparage and curse me.
I'm ready to listen and learn the truth. I promise I won't disparage or curse you. I never would. You can trust me.
Because of him, I never married. In the little cove next to my bedroom. It's full of memorabilia of Christopher Marsh and his son.
Wait a minute. You have a son?
Yes, I have a son.
Where is he then? What is he doing? Why isn't he with you?
You must swear on your life that you will never repeat what I'm about to tell you.
Absolutely.
I was in my early 20s. He used to drive a tractor on Mr. Warrington's farm. Next to the farm, there were so many pretty flower beds. Mr. Warrington had such colorful flowers that I just had to go and pick them and bring them home. First time I met Christopher, he shouted at me and said, "Get off this property, you're trespassing. You'll get into trouble." I wish I listened. As I was young and rebellious from time to time, his warning fell on deaf ears. I continued to visit the flower beds until one day Christopher jumped off his tractor and we came face to face. Again, he echoed the same thing. I looked straight at him and smiled. I gave him a red rose as I wanted him to stop shouting at me. The red rose obviously didn't mean anything. He was very handsome and well-built. I remember his shirt was a little torn at the side. And I asked why he was wearing a torn shirt, and he explained that the shirt was his best garment yet. I felt a little sorry for him, and I said, "Don't worry, I'll get you another shirt." He refused, point blank. Then he interrogated further. "Who are you? Who are you anyway?" Well, I revealed my identity. He was surprised. And then his masculine tone immediately softened. I asked him again, "Would you like me to get you another shirt?" Then I facetiously tore the whole side of his shirt I told him that is the kind of punishment you get if you refuse gifts. He laughed and told me I was such a daring little flower.
Daring little flower. Aren't those the initials on your sewing machine, your handkerchiefs and gold pendant?
And my pillow. Yes. DLF. He earned a pittance on the farm. He could just about earn enough to feed himself and his parents and younger sister.
Did you go to collect flowers every day?
Yes. I always looked forward to seeing him. Sometimes he would tell me to go home, otherwise Mr. Warrington would get angry.
And did Mr. Warrington catch you two together?
We were discreet. Nobody saw us.
Did you buy him a shirt then?
I bought him a plain blue shirt, nothing over the top.
Did he like it?
He loved it, but he was concerned that it wasn't right to accept presents from someone like me, but I insisted.
Did he wear it?
He wrapped it around his body so well that I was simply taken aback by his charm. And as days went by, I discovered slowly but surely that I was falling for him.
Did you tell him about your feelings straight away?
No. He was from an underprivileged family, and I was part of a wealthy empire.
Must have been really difficult.
I thought all these silly feelings for him would flutter away, and suddenly one day everything would be back to normal, but alas, it wasn't meant to be.
What did you tell him?
When I fell over a stupid, rusty rake.
A rusty rake?
As usual, I was fooling around with him and being sarcastic and playful and flippant. That day, when I fell over, he came to my rescue. I hurt my right leg. It was bleeding. He quickly jumped off his tractor and picked me up. I held on tight, and he gave me such a wonderful look and radiant smile that I knew at once he felt the same way too.
It's great when you discover that glorious moment. I remember that feeling when I was with Michelle.
He hurriedly took me to a nearby barn and bandaged my injured leg. He was very sweet and gentle.
After that, did you need to go to the hospital?
After that, fate united both hearts.
Did anybody from the mansion find out?
The wrong people found out.
Oh.
Your grandfather was irate, and my dearest brother made matters worse. He never was on my side.
What did they do?
I was deeply in love with Christopher. He started to receive threats. They said they would kill his family if he didn't stop seeing me. And whilst this was going on, my family were mentally torturing me. Held prisoner in my own home, not allowed out. Then the astonishing news followed.
What?
I fell pregnant.
Oh, wow.
My worst nightmare came true. Christopher had lost his job. His family were told to leave town straight away. Christopher sadly went away with them. It was too late to abort the pregnancy. Well, that is what I told them, but the real purpose of having the baby was that I would have a part of Christopher with me forever. During my pregnancy, I missed Christopher so much. Then one day he charged into the mansion, declaring his love for me and saying he was going to take me away from this bleak and callous place. He was wearing the blue shirt I gave him. Unfortunately, he was thoroughly beaten. I was so heartbroken. I witnessed the whole agonizing ordeal. They were savage with him, and I never stopped loving him.
You would think they would stand by you, especially when it mattered the most. Where was Grandma when all this was happening?
She'd been sent to her parents' place. She was told by my father, literally, "You are a severe disappointment to this family," because she hadn't disciplined me well.
Did you fight for him? Did you not fight for him?
The only thing left for them to do was to chain me to the walls. Security had taken every precaution possible on your grandfather's orders. I had 2 guards outside my room. Anything I wanted to eat had to be brought up to me by one of the maids. I wasn't even permitted to walk around the mansion. My feet were brutally swollen from the water retention.
Did he come back after the beating?
My father could see how distraught I was with the entire frightful circumstances. I thought at some point, maybe, just maybe, he would say to me that everything was all right and that I would be able to see Christopher again and be with him for the rest of my life.
Did he do that?
I was evidently dreaming. 2 weeks later, I recall I was 6 months into my pregnancy. A brown package arrived in my name. Inside this package was the blue shirt, soaked in fresh blood.
Oh.
There was a note. I recognized the handwriting. It read, "Christopher is no longer alive. He had been killed." The inscription was in Frederick's handwriting.
God.
They were brutal and unrelenting. My heart sank. My whole world fell apart. I felt like a widow. I never thought he would die.
I'm so sorry, Auntie Sophie. I'm so sorry. What about the baby?
Because I was so distressed from this horrific ordeal, I suddenly went into labor. The guards summoned the maids and they helped me with my delivery. My delightful son came into this brutal world 4 weeks early. When he was born, he resembled his father. All I could see was Christopher. As I was beginning to recover, the alarming news arrived.
What alarming news?
3 weeks after his birth, your dictatorial grandfather deemed it obligatory that I have no connections with the pauper's son. Apparently, our blood was too rich for his veins. I was told he'd be taken away and be raised by the maids. I wept and wept until I had no energy left. Later on, I found out your father had contributed to this suggestion. For 3 continuous years, I cried myself to sleep. I had psychiatrist after psychiatrist come to me, but they weren't able to soothe me. My aching pain, my cutting wound, and my deeply saddened heart never quite recovered.
Where is your son now?
I'm afraid I can't tell you that.
Please, Auntie Sophie, please tell me. I swear I won't tell anyone.
I think I've told you enough already.
Please, Aunt Sophie, please share your pain. I hate seeing you. I hate seeing you like this.
All right, then. His name is Peter. Peter Marsh.
Oh.
He's a lovely boy. He's chatty and quite handsome. I see him every day.
Really? Where?
He is in this torturous mansion.
Peter? Peter? You mean all Peter? The Peter who works in the mansion?
Peter, the under butler, is my son. Because I was crying my heart out, your grandfather put forward an agreement. He said I could still be a mother from a distance as long as I never approach him as his mother. I was told him to treat him like a member of staff. As he grew older, he was chosen as a minor worker within the mansion. He worked alongside his adopted mother. I had the fortunate task of watching from afar.
My goodness me, I just can't believe that all of a sudden, all this actually happened to you. All of these years you survived this torment and in total silence. You're amazing, Auntie Sophie. You are truly a hero. You carry yourself within society as if all is going well for you. Many people say many things, but you really have a heart of gold. You are truly extraordinary for carrying this huge burden. There are really no proper words to describe your bravery and your astonishing endurance. May I suggest something, please?
Yes.
You must tell him.
No.
You must. He deserves to know his wonderfully brave and caring mother. Every child deserves to know his mother.
I can't. Not after all these years. He'll hate me.
He will not hate you. He will love you because he's missing you right now, Auntie Sophie. You must tell him. You are responsible for his birth. You did not raise him, I know, but he is your flesh and blood. He will always be yours. Nothing can mentally divide you, Auntie Sophie. Your secret is safe with me. I will not tell anyone, but you must promise me. You must inform Peter about the great news. Promise me you will do that.
Oh, Ben, thank you for listening. And I promise.
I love you dearly, Auntie Sophie, and I want you to be happy.
How do I even begin?
You must take your time. The right words will come to you.
I feel so angry as well.
You know, it is absolutely remarkable that Peter is in fact my cousin. So exciting.
I'm relieved to say that I'm finally looking forward to a better tomorrow, because vengeance is in my heart and perhaps death in my hand too.
Auntie Sophie, that sounds like Shakespeare.
Benjamin, it's been a long way, but the high and mighty will soon fall.
Before I leave you, I think you are going to talk to me about Michelle. The worrying thing is that I cannot locate her. I wonder why. Father was very stern with me the other day about my relationship with Michelle. And as you know, she too is from an unprivileged family. Given what happened to you, do you think Father will do the same to me?
Auntie Sophie puts her arms around Benjamin and gives him a warm hug. End of excerpt. Well done. Well done.
Really nice story.
Striptease blackmail. I love it.
That's hilarious.
The Root of All Evil, Frederick Devereux, fourth excerpt from a play written by Tasmin Jahan, 1970s, England. The Decks, the most prestigious and glamorous event of the Devereux calendar. The Devereux mansion has been polished from top to bottom. The grand and magnificent ballroom boasts breathtaking adornments. Spotlights center on the dance floor. As Benjamin stands alone drinking some tropical punch, he is approached by a beautiful young lady, Estonia Darvell. She is a guest at the party.
You must be Benjamin Devereux.
Yes.
Well, I'm Estonia Darvell.
Estonia, as in the country?
I was conceived in Estonia.
Oh, how tragic.
Aren't you enjoying this wonderfully lavish party? I think it's absolutely sublime.
The event means very little to me. I never enjoyed, but Father insists that we all attend.
Oh. You look very smart, by the way.
Aren't we done talking? Kindly move along. Thank you.
Ouch. I'm only trying to be nice.
Me too.
Well, I'm the head founder and head honcho of my media company called Browbeat. Have you heard of it?
I don't care.
Excuse me.
Thomas Devereux appears carrying 2 glasses of champagne, one in each hand.
Bloody awful crowd. All they talk about is money. I wish they'd all shut up and go home. Ben, aren't you going to introduce me?
This is Estonia Darvell. Estonia, this is...
It's Thomas Devereux, your brother. Yes, I know.
I would say you seem a little shallow and perhaps arrogant, young lady.
I beg your pardon.
Ignore him. It's the drink talking.
I'm not drunk. The ambiance in here could make anyone feel the same way.
Thomas, don't have any more champagne, please.
Stop telling me what to do. So, do you want to dance?
No, thank you.
Oh. Come on, Estonia. Let's see if you have any good moves. I have no intention of liking you. I'm already spoken for. Her name is Josie. She's prettier than you. Plus, Father seems to be watching me intently, so I need to keep myself occupied.
This is outrageous. How dare you? Let go of me.
My manners will surface eventually. Just give it time. Now, let's boogie.
Benjamin, help me, please.
He really means no harm. Just relax and enjoy. Off you go.
As Thomas whisks her off, one of the guests approaches Benjamin. Frank Malloy is of a great stature and has a forceful demeanor. He grabs Ben's hand and shakes it vigorously.
Benjamin Devereux? Frank Malloy, I've heard the marvelous news. You must be delighted.
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be so modest. Your father has told me everything. You certainly have a lot to look forward to. You must be excited.
What did he tell you?
She's the most eligible businesswoman right now, and she's very beautiful. You're a lucky man.
I'm sorry, but what are you talking about?
Oh, goodness me. I hadn't realized you've such a great sense of humor. It's all under wraps. I get it now. The wedding is going to be divine.
What wedding?
Mustache, your father's calling for me.
Frank walks off as Estonia returns.
What?
Is your brother receiving medical assistance?
Why was he talking about a wedding?
I mean, why does he have to be so pushy? And goodness me, your brother does have some serious breath issues.
And why did he call me a lucky man?
I can't believe that Thomas is a member of the Devereux family. How incredibly embarrassing for you.
Father must be up to something again. I'm sick of these games.
You poor little love.
Nobody ever said that to me except Michelle.
Well, I heard that Michelle was caught up in the most unfortunate circumstances.
As you can imagine, the news of her supposedly accidental death has totally destroyed my dream of living a happy and honest life. I miss her so much.
Well, once the dust settles and time begins to heal the ugliness of the past, you will eventually smell the splendid scent of that happiness again.
Cryptic talk is a form of harassment. Could you please get to the bloody point?
Fine. Do you like me?
You scare me, quite frankly.
Oh, I'm sure that means that you like me.
I've just experienced a dreadful and heartbreaking loss. I have no intention of pursuing another relationship.
You still don't get it, do you?
Get what? Huh? I loathe all this suspense. Now please tell me, who the hell is getting married?
It's us, silly. I'm going to be your beautiful new bride, and I'm over the moon.
I feel nauseous.
Oh, I think you need some fresh air. It's a bit stuffy in here. Let me take you outside.
Oh, just leave me alone. Father's going to pay for this.
Estonia tries to put her arm around Benjamin, but he ignores her and exits. Scene 21. Benjamin and Penelope, his older half-sister, spot Auntie Sophie pacing up and down the hallway close to Frederick's study. Sophie is a little startled on seeing that.
What are you doing here, Aunt Sophie? Oh, Aunt Sophie, I can't quite hear you. Are you feeling all right?
I needed some air. The crowd was getting too much for me.
Oh, Aunt Sophie, Father has driven Daniel away with his horrid threats again. Look at this note.
Oh, my goodness me. He's used some very strong language indeed.
But I love Daniel. I mean, even though he did leave me for some other woman across the pond, he said he deeply regretted it, and I believe him. I mean, what's so wrong in giving him a second chance?
I know. We should all believe in second chances.
If only I could stop these threats once and for all.
I need to speak to Father urgently. He was looking at me with a suspicious eye earlier before that Frank Malloy joined me. Father's well and truly crossed the line now. He needs to stop meddling with my future. I won't stand for it.
Isn't Father supposed to be on stage right now? I mean, so why is he still in the study? I don't understand.
Let's see what he's got to say for himself.
No, you can't go in there. You can't.
Why not?
Frederick has told me not to disturb him. He told me to wait outside as he's busy with an unexpected guest.
Given the level of security surrounding the decks, why do we have an unexpected guest? Doesn't make any sense.
Who's he talking to then?
I think he's talking to...
Look, there's some red ribbon sticking out from underneath the study door.
Please don't touch that.
You seem awfully jumpy, Aunt Sophie. Are you all right?
Ben! Penny! Get me out of here! I'm in the room next door. Father's just left me to rot.
Is that you, Thomas?
Oh, you poor thing. Why are you in that room?
Oh, Thomas, my dear boy, what happened?
He said my appalling behavior was embarrassing him. He's bruised my face and hurt my right arm. After that, he stormed out of this room and locked the door.
Do we know where the spare key is?
You have to hurry. I need to pee as well. I think I've had too much to drink.
What if we were to break down the door?
Thomas, please be patient. I'll see if one of the maids can help.
Sophie exits.
He yelled at me so much that I couldn't get a word in edgeways. He said he's going to send me off to a mental institution so that I can breathe my last breath in there. Mummy would never contemplate such a thing. She'd be absolutely horrified if she knew about this.
Mummy would have liked Daniel, too. She would have welcomed him back with open arms.
When I last visited her at the cemetery, she told me this year was going to be a special year. Thought something might happen, too.
Oh, look, the red ribbon's disappeared. Someone must have pulled it through from the other side. I wonder who did that.
It's odd that Father is missing from all of the speeches.
He never misses a minute of the text. This is most unusual.
He's beginning to worry me.
Thomas, hold on for a bit. We're going to check on Father first.
The door's locked. Father, can you hear me? Can you open the door, please? Are you all right?
Oh, panic over. I don't need to go now.
Oh, Thomas.
Father, can you hear us? I'm going to break the door down. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, my God. Why is Father lying on the floor like that? Why is he bleeding so much?
Father, can you hear me? Say something. I can't feel a pulse. He's not breathing.
Oh, he's been viciously stabbed. Oh, God.
Why is the back door open?
I locked the door when I came in after talking to Daniel. Or did I? I can't remember.
I cannot believe this. Who would do such a thing? I still can't find a pulse.
Oh, my God. I'm responsible for my father's death.
Now, Penny, this is not your fault at all. Anybody could have forgotten to lock that back door. It could have been Father himself. I'm going to call the police. That's strange. There's no dialing tone.
Oh, how are we going to call the police then?
Sophie enters the study.
I think I found the spare key. It was... Oh my... There's a lot of blood on the carpet. Oh, Frederick! Oh, Frederick!
I wonder who was in here with that ribbon. I mean, what does it even mean? And Sophie, do you know anything about that red ribbon?
Ben! Penny, where are you? Please let me out. I need to change. It really stinks in here. What's going on with Father? Don't tell me. Don't tell me my dream came true. Wow. He's dead. Isn't he? My father is dead. Frederick Charles Devereux, if you are listening to me now, then here is what I have to say to you. You will see no tears from my depressing eyes. You will never see me experience any grief-stricken heartache due to your demise. You treated me like a worthless piece of rubbish. You had no respect for me, and you loathed the sight of me. I tried so hard to love you, but I couldn't. I've hated you for a very long time. Don't you dare approach my kind, caring, and loving mother. You hear me? You will leave my mother alone. You took her away from me when you pushed her down those stairs. I love her more than anyone else in this mansion, and I worship her. If only I was dead as well, I could have protected her from you. Anyway, I guess it's farewell, Father. May you rest in pain forever.
Great.
Can't wait for the last one.
We'll be thinking about who done it in the conversation.
That was great. Wow.
The Root of All Evil, Frederick Devereux. Excerpt from a play written by Tasmin Jahan. Frederick Devereux is the ruthless autocrat controlling the huge Devereux business empire. His perpetual cruelty knows no bounds, and family members are certainly no exception. Today, there is a celebration of tears, sorrow, joy, and relief. Scene 25. 1970s England. Sophie, Frederick's sister, is in a luxurious hotel room. She's holding up a glass of wine, celebrating with a female companion.
Here's a toast to the best outcome ever. May we prosper and live wonderful lives. Finally, we can embrace the truth and be thankful the authorities have no clue who did it.
Here, here. We certainly did well, didn't we? Thank you for leaving the back door unlocked. I mean, just thinking about it feels truly amazing. You guided him in, quietly left the room, and manned the door. Frederick's face was a picture, as he couldn't believe that I was standing in front of him after all these years. He was speechless. And I had such an adrenaline rush when I was stabbing him to death. But my eyes saw no blood. I could only see his evil face. And once he fell to the ground, this huge cast iron burden lifted off. My heart was palpitating madly, but I could still hear some voices outside the door. I heard your voice as well.
Yes, Benjamin and Penelope suddenly appeared in the hallway. On seeing them, I became quite nervous. Benjamin was eager to address his father about an urgent matter, and Penelope was upset about Frederick's nasty letter to her ex-husband. She kept mentioning the red ribbon too. Little do they know that their father was paying the ultimate price for the immeasurable cruelty and oppression he had inflicted on his family.
At least I removed that red ribbon in time for me to leave the room without a second thought. I know I didn't close the back door properly, but I couldn't risk returning to the scene of
Don't say it. Lonnie, you have succeeded. I am truly impressed. You are definitely more courageous than I am. This objective had been placed on my shoulders, I'm certain I would have faltered.
Well, two heads are always better than one, and our plan was triumphant. I couldn't have done it without your continuous support. Now the deep-rooted suffering is over. For the first time, I'll get to see and talk and spend time with my precious children.
Did you tell Vanessa about our worthy scheme?
I informed Vanessa that very soon she will be meeting with the rest of her family. She was very excited to hear this, as she's only ever seen pictures of Thomas, Nancy, and Penelope.
I'm looking forward to it as well. It's going to be a tremendous day. Thomas, Nancy, Penelope, and Vanessa, you and I, all together at one table, sitting, laughing, enjoying each other's company. It's an absolute miracle.
I did do the right thing by never telling Frederick about Vanessa, didn't I?
Indeed, you did. Good job you kept that a secret. If he didn't care about you then, why would he shown any concern for his youngest unborn child?
That vicious monster completely destroyed me, both physically and mentally.
You mean almost. I remember it as if it were yesterday. Your dreary funeral, the unrecognizable dead body, your tasteless obituary and fictitious wake, all meticulously carried out and very convincing. That day I had just returned from Bridgenorth. There was such a morose atmosphere as I walked into the mansion. I saw young Nancy and Penelope crying their eyes out. Thomas had a blank look on his face. He just didn't speak to anyone. Brooke approached me. She was very upset. She told me the awful news. I was in shock. Apparently, you had taken an overdose and slipped down the staircase. After hearing this, I walked straight into Frederick's study. He was on the telephone at the time. He had his back to me. I distinctly recall him saying, "Don't worry, we can make this work." It must have been about you. The moment he spotted me, he hung up, changed his facial expression, and addressed me very sadly. He pretended to break down in tears. Naturally, at the time, I was sympathetic. To think I held Frederick in my arms to console him when the whole appalling masquerade was his doing.
He told me to leave Fezeria Aston very quietly and to never come back. I tried to stand up for myself. My only fault was that I had told him how lonely that I had felt and how a recent friendship with a male acquaintance had helped me get through my solitude and depression. But alas, all of a sudden, there was a stupid and hurtful rumor going round.
Yes, I remember that too. Something about you and Michael Bishop being a keen and happy couple.
Michael used to bring boxes of files to the mansion after work, and that day when Frederick had told him to wait in his study for him as he had other business to attend to, Michael and I had a chance to talk. It was wonderful. He was the complete opposite of Frederick. He was a kind and sensitive soul. He could see my pain and suffering just by looking at me. He was a shoulder to cry on and someone to share my feelings with. That's all. He took away my loneliness. And he always appreciated how hard it was for me to raise 3 young children, especially without a proper father figure. And Frederick was always too busy with his business empire to even notice us. He saw his family as more of a hindrance than anything else.
Then one day, as that rumor got out of hand, I remember bumping into one of Frederick's crude associates in the main hall. He had arrived to express his utter disapproval about what was going on between you and Michael. That associate was in there for hours with Frederick. Apparently, the rumors were affecting his reputation and business relations with the Devereux establishment. Once this associate had left, Frederick's anger was uncontrollable.
Unfortunately, the very next day, I remember Michael being accused of stealing company property and then being fired. Frederick was extremely rude to him and didn't even pay his salary for the last month he worked at the factory.
Wasn't he framed?
Yes, sadly. He was framed by Penchard, Frederick's faithful slave. Michael became terribly depressed after that. He decided not to talk about it. He left without saying a word. I never saw him again.
With that fury, Frederick summoned me after he fired Michael. I had the displeasure of listening to him going on and on and on about it. I knew he was in the wrong, but I stayed quiet. I tried to defend you, but he wouldn't have it.
He's so furious that he decided to totally ruin my life. 26 years of it, to be exact. The day I left that mansion without my children was the day I died inside. I became absolutely numb. I never had the power to do anything because Frederick didn't even give me a chance to explain. He rudely confronted me and yelled so loudly that it almost felt like my ears were bleeding. He was so abusive and the swearing was intolerable. I was ordered to leave the mansion immediately because his uncontrollable rage was more important than my needs. And as I wept, I went to pack some of my belongings, but he followed me and dragged me out of the bedroom and disgracefully pushed me out. And before slamming the door in my face, he threw me a £5 banknote. His last words were, £5 should be adequate for a whore like you. He didn't even allow me to see my children one last time. He said, a whore has no children, only the road in front of her.
The staff were informed that you had been admitted into hospital with severe injuries sustained after taking an overdose and falling down the stairs. He accused you of having some sort of inexplicable depression and proving to be an unfit mother. He described you as abusive and frosty towards the children and as a wife, a regrettable mistake. He stressed to them how unhappy he was to have had the ill fortune of meeting you. He mimicked a heartbroken and lonely husband. Some of the staff were quite unsure about the entire story, but given Frederick's temperament, they accepted all that he said and carried on with their duties as normal. They didn't want to lose their jobs. At that time, my main concern was for the children, especially Thomas. As days went by, he only sat with one of the maids, usually in total silence.
My parents were shocked to see me in this desperate state. And that week, whilst I stayed with my parents, a long, stern, anonymous letter arrived. It was a heavily descriptive explanation of how my life would be dictated for the rest of my years and how I would never be allowed to alter any aspect of it. There were numerous threats. I was deeply disturbed by his poisonous language and the repetition of, you will perish a ghastly death if you in any way disagree. My eyes simply filled with floods of tears.
By sending that letter, he was actually putting the final touches to your fake funeral.
The letter went on to say that he would be doing me an immense favor by rubbing my face out of society. My parents were in utter disbelief.
Thomas has never recovered from the loss. Misses you every minute of every day. He still speaks to you at the cemetery, chats to you about many things, and when he usually feels isolated, he begins to drink until he cannot drink anymore.
My poor baby. How I miss him so. All those beautiful memories we simply lost because of one vile, monstrous human being.
My unsettled mind could not believe that you were dead. Just knew my suspicions were true. It was too mechanical, you know? So I decided to investigate. As I persevered, one of the locals was able to point me in the right direction.
Yes, I had left my parents' place because I was concerned about their safety. And the long and tedious hours at the paper mill were wearing me out, especially since I was pregnant with Vanessa. I was so happy and relieved when you came to visit me.
When I told your parents that you were just about coping, they were distressed, but also relieved to know that you were still alive.
And with your kind help and absolute support, I plucked up the courage to confront Frederick about what he'd done to me. But I was too late because he had already announced his second marriage to Veronica.
According to Frederick, Veronica was chosen to fill a gap. He began to crack under pressure. He said he desperately required a nanny for the children. After briefly meeting Veronica at one of our cousins' wedding, he had a few words with her family and struck a deal. He promised to write them checks as appropriate to support Veronica's family while she looked after his children. He had proposed a quiet wedding ceremony. Only immediate family were invited. I refused to attend, but Frederick forced me. I absolutely hated Veronica from day one, and I still do.
He married so quickly. I cried so much for my poor children. What were they thinking? I mean, how much were they hurting? I could only imagine.
Connie, you mustn't forget. You have 4 beautiful children out of this relationship. They were always yours. You didn't watch them grow up, but I did. So many things they did and said that reminded me of you. And also the pain and longing they endured made me cry too. But I never showed those tears to anyone.
You're right. And those pictures you had sent a while back reminded me that I was never alone. Those pictures gave me so much strength. I cannot believe how quickly Thomas grew up. Penelope still has her baby face. Nancy looks too much like her father. I have missed out on so much. And when I will see them again, I'm going to just cry more floods of tears. But this time they will be tears of joy. There will be no words to make up for the past 26 years.
Now, Let us put all of these stories of misery and struggle behind us and look forward to the new.
Absolutely.
There is a knock at the door. Sophie jumps.
He's early.
I'm so delighted that there will be more than one family reunion now. It's time to tell Peter that he is no longer the under butler at the mansion, but your son.
I'm so nervous all of a sudden. I can feel my heart fluttering.
No, be calm. Go and open the door. Don't keep the poor boy waiting. You no longer have to watch him from a distance because of Frederick Devereux. And as you cry your tears of joy, gently hold him like any mother would and start to make up for all those lost years. I'm so sorry that Frederick strongly disapproved of his father's lower status and for that reason kept you all apart.
Thank you, Lonnie, for being my only pillar of support. I'm eternally grateful to you, even though my Christopher was wickedly taken away from me before Peter's birth. I am now honored to fulfill my duty as a loving mother to Peter, and with profound solace, I leave behind Sophie Devereux from that mansion. Infusory hast.
Lonnie looks on with a smile as Sophie nervously exits. Scene 26, denouement. Outside the hotel, Lonnie descends to the fountain gardens of the hotel and sits down on a bench. She calmly gazes into the sky, then looks around her. She takes a deep breath, shakes her head a little, wipes away a tear, and begins to think deeply.
My prison sentence is over at last. I have found myself once more. Committing suicide would have definitely been the wrong thing to do. I'm so glad I never shared that with Sophie. And my children would have no doubt cursed me. But I am a proud burner. I am thoroughly delighted. I have no regrets. Now I stand victorious. But wait, I see the blood now. I have blood on my hands. My stained hands have released me. But will the blood ever go? All these years I've been enduring so much frustration and hatred. And now that frustration and hatred have disappeared, but what if my children hate me? Will they question my courage, my beliefs? And above all, will they interrogate me too much about their childhood and what happened after I left? I do not wish to build my future with remnants of the past. I know for certain that Thomas will hate me the most. I fear his judgment. I fear his tone. How would I ever be able to even address him? I realize Sophie has cautioned me not to reveal our secret, but what if they find out? No, what am I thinking? It's not possible. Nobody saw me. The disguise was too complicated. The weapon was hidden, and then I wiped it clean and I threw it in the river. So there's nothing further to worry about. There will be no stormy comeback because Sophie and I planned our day of freedom very well. For the first time, I can hear the birds singing. I can feel the clear breeze. I can enjoy the sunshine. Now I can look forward to being a part of everyday life. What about this guilt that I feel? Why is it there? I did what any woman would have done in my shoes. Frederick made my life an absolute hell. I have a right to my freedom. I refuse to see myself as a murderer. I had no choice but to kill him. But it is a blood-stained freedom. Surely I deserve better. Surely I deserve to be free. What have I done? When I meet my children for the first time, it will be in the guise of a murderer. I have indeed committed a crime. But wait a minute. He was the one to blame. He made me do it. Please be kind to me. Thomas, Nancy, Penelope, and Vanessa. Once you find the truth, because I don't want to lose you all again. I've been blessed with 4 beautiful children. I must focus on that. Now I have a real opportunity to make amends. But with my blood-stained hands, it's Frederick's blood, a tyrant's blood. The father of my children's blood. My husband's blood. Such blackened hands, cruel hands. Poor Veronica. She must be devastated. I wonder if she will ever miss him. Maybe Sophie should have stabbed Frederick. I'm sure Sophie wouldn't have felt so much guilt afterwards.
Suddenly a shadow grows from behind. The mysterious figure taps her on the shoulder. Ronnie rises. It's Veronica.
It was you, wasn't it?
Veronica, how did you know I was here?
I followed you after Frederick had humiliated me in front of his wealthy friends. I chose to hide away in that cove area adjoining his study, as I knew Frederick would be too busy with all of his guests to come looking for me anyway. I was very quiet and still whilst I heard you and Sophie come in. Once the commotion had started, my hair was standing on end, and I had shivers down my spine. At one point, I thought I couldn't breathe. You removed that that red ribbon from under the door once you'd finished. That was your signal. I just felt so numb. But I still plucked up the courage to follow you. Your choice of footwear hasn't changed because I was made to wear your worn shoes after we got married. And you are wearing the same wedding ring as mine, but on a different finger.
I am truly sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Thank you for making me a widow. You have killed the root of all evil. May God bless you.
With tears in their eyes, they give each other a warm hug.
Well done.
Bravo.
Great.
Awesome.
Great. Great.